Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul of faith. I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure the pilot washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you, hope you guess my name. But what's puzzling you is the nature of my game.
Both the Stones and Alan Moore, who wrote V for Vendetta, have more than sympathy for the devil in common, as both have been influenced by Satanist Aleister Crowley and have sought to bring about his satanic revolution.
At one point in the graphic novel, V introduces himself to a minister who has been totally demonized and portrayed as a child molester by stating, quote, "I am the devil. I've come to do the devil's work."
It's no coincidence that the main female character in the movie is named Evie. In fact, in the graphic novel, her name is eventually shortened to Eve. And just as Satan had deceived Eve in the garden, he used the same deceptions in V for Vendetta as we see Eve indoctrinated into the gnosis. As in the book of Genesis, V sets Evie free by leading her to the knowledge of good and evil. She had been in a fog, and she comes to understand her true identity as V initiates her into gnosis. Even as Satan deceived Eve at the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so V seduces Eve with a misleading promise of liberation and deification through knowledge. V states, quote, "You asked for knowledge, Eve, and that is what I shall pass on to you." V seeks to convince Evie that she's imprisoned by rules. He even states that, quote, "Happiness is a prison. Evie, happiness is the most insidious prison of all." Evie wants to help V in his terrorist war of anarchy.
No one will ever forget that night and what it meant for this country. But I will never forget the man and what he meant to me.
Eve has learned from V that doing what she wilt without fear of death is to attain godhood. Eve is tricked into believing that V has become God because he does his own will. Quote, "You can do whatever you want, can't you? I suppose that's conquering the universe, doing what you want." After Evie loses the fear of death, she is brought up to the top of a building to experience Gnostic baptism, wherein she is incarnated with the spirit of V. In the graphic novel, Eve is stripped naked and she's told by V to, quote, "Seize it, encircle it with your arms, bury it in your heart up to the hilt, become transfixed, become transfigured forever." At this point in the film, she stretches forth her hands in the same way that V did earlier in the movie, when he first experienced transformation. Evie has not only become the conqueror of the universe through throwing off the shackles of authority and following V, who identifies himself as Satan, but now she is told that she will be transfigured forever, i.e., you will never truly die. This is Satan's echo from Eden, quote, "Thou shalt surely not die." In the end, Evie was really ultimately doing Satan's will. In fact, in the graphic novel we read, she states, quote, "The chaos progresses splendidly without us. Eve, for my part, I rather think that the time has come for putting certain things to order." Eve then says, "Are we going to do something or not?" V responds by quoting Aleister Crowley and saying, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Eve responds, "Quoting Aleister Crowley isn't good enough. It doesn't answer my question. I want to know what thou wilt, V. I want to know what your will is." V thinks about it. "You want me to show you my will? Very well. Very well then." And he beckons Eve this way. Another clue as to who V represents is seen in this occult comic of Crowley, which was adapted from a picture of Crowley when he was just 14 years old. Here Crowley is depicted as giving his V for victory sign. Crowley claimed that it was he that had originated the popular V for victory sign before it was ever used by Winston Churchill. Crowley, like V and V for Vendetta, desired to overthrow the British government and establish the new satanic eon. Crowley's V sign was used extensively by the hippie youth movement throughout the 1960s. V says in V for Vendetta that anarchy has two faces, one to destroy and one to create. The next stage after anarchy is the implementation of the satanic New World Order. In V for Vendetta, we never really get to see what that order is supposed to look like. However, in the graphic novel, we get a huge hint. Chaos and anarchy are everywhere as lawlessness increases. Young people are scrawling cuss words on the ground against their parents, and looters are being shot. Evie says, "V, is this anarchy? Is this the land of do as you please? V tells her that the chaos he has heralded thus far is only the land of take what you want, and the land of do as you please is still to come. He states, quote, with anarchy comes an age of Ordnung, which is to say voluntary order. This is not anarchy yet. V assures Evie that the present chaos is only a prelude to true anarchy for which he was destined. V then quotes The Second Coming by the famous Irish poet William Butler Yeats. This gives us a good clue as to where all this is going if we haven't already figured it out.
This is what Alex Jones wants you to do.
Why don't we just have people post V's everywhere? Why don't we just have people post V's everywhere?
Okay, so that's the request. He wants you to post V's everywhere. By posting these V's, you are showing you are the resistance. You're a peaceful part of the resistance. This is just pure BS. This is not a good way to show your allegiance to the patriotic movement. This is putting a target on your back. He's asking you to spread the message of the New World Order and to put a target on your back. Here, let's listen to this.
You are the resistance against the DHS occupation of America.
So he's asking you to be the resistance to the DHS by posting V's all over.
Why don't we just have people post V's everywhere?
Okay? He's asking you to do his dirty work and to spread this illuminated symbol. This symbol is incredibly illuminated, and, you know, this is...
It's time. Tell me, do you like music, Mr. Finch?
That music.
Yes. His music. He was Edmund Dantes. And he was my father. And my mother. My brother. My friend. He is you. And me. He was all of us. No one will ever forget that night and what it meant for this country. But I will never forget the man and what he meant to me.